Good morning, Maths Group. This is Mrs. Harris here. This is the PowerPoint for your maths lesson for today. As you can see, we've got the objective we've been working on most of the week. It's to round numbers to the nearest 10, 100, 1000, and from yesterday's lesson, 10,000. So let's just have a little recap. We started the week off by looking at rounding to the nearest 10. Here we have 17. We've got 110, 7 units. If we draw our number line, we know that 17 sits between the two tens of 10 and 20. If the unit is below 5, it gets rounded down. If the unit is 5 or above, it gets rounded up. Now in this case, we've got 7 units, so we are going to round up to 20. Let's look at this one, still rounding to the nearest 10. We've got 357. We've got 300s, 5 tens, 7 units. Now 357 sits between 350 and 360. If we look at the tens, it's a 5. And knowing our high 5 rule, this time we round up to 360. One more rounding to the nearest 10. This time we've gone up a gear. We've got 5,734. 5,000s, 700s, 3 tens, 4 units. Now 500,734 we know sits between 5,730 and 5,740. If we look at the tens, we've got 3 tens. Now that's below 5, so in this case we're going to round down to 5,730. Final one for the nearest 10. This time we've got 15,786. Don't be put off by the big number. We're still looking at rounding to the nearest 10. We've got 15,780 and 15,790. If we look at our tens column, we've got 8 tens. So that's above 5. So we round it up to 15,790. Let's go one step further and round the nearest 100. We've got 537. 500s, 3 tens, 7 units. Our hundreds either side of that number are 500 and 600. In this case, when we're rounding to the nearest 100, we look at the 10 column. If the 10 is below 50, it gets rounded down. If the 10 is above 50, it gets rounded up. So in this case, 537 is rounded down to 500. Let's look at this. Rounding to the nearest 100, we've got 2,897. We know that this number sits between 2,800 and the next 100, 2,900. We're looking at the tens column, so we've got a 9. So in this case, we're rounding to 2,900. Let's look at this one. We've got 5,148. Now that number sits between 5,100 and 5,200. If we focus in on the 148, we can really see that 148 is nearer to 5,100 than it is to 5,200. So in this case, we're going to round down to 5,100. Let's have a look now to the nearest 1,000. We've got 2,537. That's 2,000s, 500s, 3 tens, 7 units. So we're looking at the thousands this time. We know that this number sits between 2,000 and 3,000. We're looking at the hundreds column, and if it's below 500, it gets rounded down. If the 100 is 500 or above, it gets rounded up. So in this case, we've got 5 hundredths. So we're going to round this number up to 3,000. Let's have a look at this one. We've got 50,490. We know that this number sits between 57,000 and 58,000. We're looking at now the hundreds column. It's 490. We know that's below 500. So in this case, we're going to round down to 57,000. Another big number. This time we've got 164,890. Again, don't be put off by the big number. We are looking at the thousand column. We know that this number sits between 164,000 and 165,000. Let's look at that hundred column. It's above 5, it's 890. So we know that this number is going to round up, because it's above 5, remember, to 165,000. Now we've moved on to a bigger number because we're looking at rounding to 10,000. Now this is what we covered in our lesson yesterday, and I was so impressed with how you cope with this. So we've got 56,389, 500s, 6,000s, 300s, 8 tens, 9 units. If we're looking at the 10,000s this time, this number sits between 50,000 and 60,000. So let's look at the thousand column. It's got a 6. Now we know that anything below 5 gets rounded down. The thousand column in this case is 6. It's above 5, so we are going to round up, and our number now is going to be rounded to 60,000. We've got this number now, 72,891. This number sits between 70,000 and 80,000. Let's look at that thousand column. It's a 2. Now that's below 5, so in this case, we'll round the number down to 70,000. Final one for this input. We've got a huge number, 357,464. We are looking at the nearest 10,000. So this number sits between 350,000 and 360,000. We're looking at the thousand column, and in this case it's got 7. Obviously that's higher than 5, so we are going to round this number to 360,000. Now that was a whirlwind tour, most of which we did this week, so I'm hoping that was a very quick recap and a refresh on what we've been doing. What I'd like you to do now is to answer the questions that I've given you on your sheet. Now that will either be the internet hack questions or the country population questions. If you get stuck, remember to draw a number line to help you decide to round up or round down. I'll post the answers on Google Classroom on Friday morning so you can mark your work. Good luck, and any questions, please post them on Google Classroom and I will answer them as soon as I can. Have fun! Bye!